Welcome back to Mind Care is Self-Care, the space where we confront the uncomfortable truths that quietly shape our lives and reclaim the emotional freedom we were never taught how to protect. Today, we are stepping into a conversation that may feel deeply uncomfortable because it challenges one of the most praised but psychologically destructive habits in modern life. The habit of disappointing yourself so that no one else ever has to feel disappointed by you. Many people call this kindness. Many people call this maturity. Many people call this being dependable, generous, loving, or selfless. But often, it is none of those things. Often it is self-abandonment dressed up as virtue. And if you have been living this way for years, it can feel normal. You become the reliable one, the easy one, the one who says yes, the one who accommodates, the one who bends, the one who adjusts, the one who keeps the peace, the one who makes life easier for everyone else. You become so skilled at anticipating what others need from you that you stop noticing what you need from yourself. You stop hearing your own voice. You stop checking in with your own emotions. You stop asking whether your yes actually means yes. That is where the fracture begins. It rarely starts dramatically. It begins quietly. A dinner invitation you didn't want to attend, but you agreed to anyway. A favor you had no energy to offer, but you said yes because saying no felt rude. A phone call you answered while exhausted because you didn't want to seem unavailable. A boundary you knew you needed, but you swallowed because conflict felt too uncomfortable. One by one, these moments seem harmless. But every time you betray your own truth to preserve someone else's comfort, something subtle happens inside you. You split. A small fracture forms between who you are and who you are performing. And if this becomes a lifestyle, those fractures become your identity. Suddenly, you are living two lives. The outer life everyone applauds, and the inner life quietly collapsing. This is the hidden cost of toxic politeness. We live in a culture that rewards accessibility. Especially now, in this always-on digital world, there is almost no natural boundary protecting your peace. Messages arrive instantly. Emails expect immediate replies. Social media keeps you psychologically available to hundreds of people simultaneously. Work follows you home. Family can reach you anytime. Friends expect emotional access on demand. And because technology removed physical distance, many people now believe they deserve emotional access too. This creates a dangerous illusion that being constantly reachable is the same thing as being loving. It is not. Sometimes constant accessibility is simply unprotected emotional labor. Sometimes it is chronic self-neglect. Sometimes it is fear disguised as generosity. Many people-pleasers are not actually driven by kindness. They are driven by fear. Fear of conflict, fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood, fear of disappointing others, fear of being disliked. Psychologists often call this fawning, a trauma response where the nervous system learns that safety comes through appeasement. If your early life taught you that conflict was dangerous, unpredictable, or emotionally expensive, your nervous system may have learned a survival strategy. Keep everyone happy. Stay agreeable. Avoid friction. Anticipate needs. Don't upset anyone. Become useful. Become indispensable. This strategy may have protected you once, but survival mechanisms that helped you in one season can imprison you in another. Because what kept you safe as a child may be suffocating you as an adult. The tragedy is this. Many people mistake this survival pattern for personality. I'm just nice. I'm just easygoing. I'm just helpful. I'm just the dependable one. But underneath those labels is often an unspoken fear. What happens if I stop being useful? That question terrifies many people. Because when your identity has been built around being needed, boundaries feel dangerous. Saying no feels selfish. Rest feels irresponsible. Disappointing someone feels like moral failure. But what if that belief is false? What if your constant yes is not helping anyone? What if it is actually harming everyone involved? Let's talk about the illusion of being indispensable. Many people secretly believe that if they stop saying yes, everything will collapse. If they stop solving problems, relationships will crumble. If they stop managing emotions, everyone will fall apart. If they stop overfunctioning, chaos will erupt. This belief sounds noble, but often it is ego disguised as responsibility. It quietly says, without me, things cannot function. That is not humility. That is over-identification with your usefulness. And it creates an exhausting prison, because now your worth depends on your utility. Your value depends on your availability. Your identity depends on being needed. And that is not love. That is dependency. Healthy relationships are not built on how much of yourself you sacrifice. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, mutual responsibility, mutual emotional labor, mutual care. If a relationship only works because you overextend yourself, it is not stable. It is dependent on your exhaustion, and exhaustion is not sustainable. Eventually, your body tells the truth your mouth refuses to say. It speaks through fatigue, through resentment, through irritability, through anxiety, through emotional numbness, through unexplained sadness, through burnout. Your nervous system starts waving red flags, not because you are weak, but because it is tired of carrying what your boundaries refuse to address. This is why true self-care is not soft. It is not always relaxing. It is not always peaceful. Sometimes real self-care is deeply uncomfortable. Sometimes it looks like disappointing someone. Sometimes it looks like saying no. Sometimes it looks like refusing an invitation. Sometimes it looks like leaving a text unanswered until tomorrow. Sometimes it looks like declining emotional labor. Sometimes it looks like choosing your peace over someone else's expectations. And that can feel terrifying. Because for people pleasers, boundaries feel like betrayal. But boundaries are not betrayal. They are truth. They are honesty. They are emotional integrity. Think about what happens every time you say yes when you mean no. You teach people a false version of you. You train them to expect access you cannot sustain. You reinforce a relationship dynamic based on a lie. Then later, you resent them for believing what you taught them. That resentment is not their fault. It is the emotional invoice for your dishonesty. This is why strategic disappointment is necessary. Strategic disappointment means intentionally allowing someone to feel let down so that you stop letting yourself down. It means recognizing that discomfort is not danger. It means accepting that temporary friction is healthier than permanent self-betrayal. It means understanding that one awkward conversation is far less costly than years of silent resentment. Let's make this practical. How do you know which expectations are harming you? Ask yourself, where do I feel dread before saying yes? Where do I feel resentment after saying yes? Where do I feel pressure instead of willingness? Where do I feel obligated rather than generous? Where do I feel emotionally drained after interaction? Those places are pointing toward your missing boundaries. That is where your healing begins. Now comes the difficult part, the friction. When you begin setting boundaries, people notice, especially those who benefited from your lack of them. And they may not celebrate your growth. They may call you selfish. They may call you distant. They may accuse you of changing. And they will be right. You are changing. You are becoming emotionally honest. You are becoming less available for self-abandonment. You are becoming less willing to trade peace for approval. That change may threaten people who were comfortable with the old version of you. Let them be uncomfortable. Their discomfort is not proof you are wrong. It is proof the pattern has changed. Many people feel intense guilt here, but guilt is often misunderstood. Sometimes guilt does not mean you did something wrong. Sometimes guilt means you violated an old survival rule. Your nervous system says, "This feels bad." But what it really means is, "This feels unfamiliar." Growth often feels wrong before it feels right. Not because it is unhealthy, but because it is new. So how do you communicate boundaries without becoming hostile? You do it with honesty. Simple honesty. "I can't do that. I'm unavailable. That doesn't work for me. I need rest tonight. I'm not able to help with that." No. No apology essay. No over-explaining. No invented excuses. Just truth. This is radical transparency, and it is liberating. At first it feels harsh. Then it feels awkward. Then it feels empowering. Eventually it feels peaceful, because you begin to realize something astonishing. The world does not end when you disappoint someone. People survive your no. They adapt, they recalibrate, and often they respect you more. Because boundaries create clarity. Clarity creates safety. Safety creates healthier relationships. And the people who truly love you do not need unlimited access to you. They need your authenticity. Now let us talk about what happens internally when you stop optimizing your life for approval. Energy returns, mental clarity returns, creativity returns, joy returns, resentment decreases, anxiety softens, your nervous system relaxes, because it is no longer constantly scanning for who needs you next. That chronic hypervigilance fades, and in its place comes something many people have never felt before. Peace, not performance. Peace, not applause. Peace, not exhaustion. Peace. This is the freedom of being disliked. Not because you seek rejection, but because you stop fearing it. You stop designing your life around avoiding disapproval. You stop shrinking to fit others' comfort zones. You stop becoming emotionally negotiable, and suddenly you become visible to yourself again. You remember your preferences, your needs, your voice, your limits, your desires, your truth. That is what self-care really means. It means coming home to yourself. It means ending the civil war between your outer yes and your inner no. It means becoming trustworthy to yourself again. Because if you cannot trust yourself to protect your own peace, who will? Your healing begins the moment your internal world becomes more important than external applause. Your recovery begins the moment you decide your peace deserves protection. Your freedom begins the moment you allow someone else to feel disappointed without rushing to rescue them from it. That is emotional maturity. That is nervous system healing. That is self-respect. And that is why true self-care is not about bubble baths. It is about courage. The courage to be misunderstood. The courage to say no. The courage to be disliked. The courage to disappoint others. So you can finally stop disappointing yourself. As we close today, I want you to sit with one question. Where in your life are you abandoning yourself to avoid someone else's discomfort? That answer may reveal the next boundary your healing requires. And remember this, you were never born to become everyone else's emotional furniture. You were never meant to spend your life performing accessibility. You were never designed to disappear inside other people's expectations. You deserve rest. You deserve boundaries. You deserve emotional honesty. You deserve peace. And most importantly, you deserve your own loyalty. Thank you for joining Mind Care is Self-Care. Until next time, remember, heal your mind, reclaim your peace, restore yourself.